In a previous video, we discovered that the scale factor, the ratio between the sides of two similar figures, is the same thing as the ratio of the perimeters. However, to find the ratio of the areas, we need to square those numbers. It turns out that if we take this to the third dimension, surface area is the same as area. It's no different, you just square it to get there. To go to your third dimension though with volume, rather than square the numbers, we're going to cube the numbers. And so if we think of the ratio as being just a to b for our scale factor, our ratio of our volumes would be a to the third power. We're going to cube it, and then b to the third power. And if we wanted to go backwards, if we're given the ratio of the volumes and want to work backwards to find the ratio of the sides, rather than take a square root, we're going to take a cube root to go backwards. So let's go ahead and fill out this chart and see how this is going to work. So as we've mentioned, the scale factor is the same thing as the ratio of the perimeters. So if my scale factor is 1 to 9, the ratio of the perimeters is also 1 to 9. To find the ratio of the areas, whether it's plain old area or surface area, square those numbers. 1 times itself is still 1. 9 times 9 is 81. So 1 to 81 would be my ratio of the areas. To find the ratio of your volumes, then we're going to cube, and make sure you're cubing from the beginning. You don't want to cube these numbers over here. That'll get you the way wrong answer. Rather, we want to cube these numbers, raise each of those to the third power. 1 to the third power is still just 1. 9 to the third power, 9 times 9 times 9 is 729. So the ratio of volumes would be 1 to 129. Okay? If you think you got this, go ahead and pause the video and just try these last few out. Otherwise, you can listen and we'll kind of go through these rather quickly. So the ratio of the perimeters is given to me next. Well, we've already said my area ratio, or my side ratio, is the same thing. That's also 5 to 2. Oh, by the way, make sure all these are simplified. I'd recommend before you fill out any other box in the row, make sure the one you're starting with is simplified. All of these on this screen are simplified. To find the ratio of the areas or surface areas, square each of those numbers. 5 squared is 25. And 2 squared is 4. And then again, our new dimension that we're talking about is this third dimension with the ratio of volumes. Simply cube these numbers, raise them to the third power. 5 to the third is 125, and 2 to the third is 8. Oops. Well, you get the idea. I can't make those colons on here. Next up, we're starting with the ratio of the areas. Well, if you're ever starting with something besides the home base, the beginning ratios, always work backwards and find those first. And so to work backwards from area, I'm going to take a square root. So let's go ahead and take the square root of each of those numbers to work backwards first. The square root of 16 is 4, and the square root of 9 is 3. So 4 to 3. And then 4 to 3, the scale factor and the perimeter ratio are the same thing. Now that we have home base figured out, we know where we're starting from, now I can cube those numbers to find my volume ratio. 4 to the third is 64. And 3 to the third is 27. So 64 to 27 would be my volume ratio. And we got just one last one to do, and that's this volume, working backwards from volume. Once again, since we don't have home base figured out, let's go there first. So to do that, I'm going to need to take the cube root of these numbers. The cube root is this button. If you're using a graphing calculator, it's under the math menu on there. Otherwise, ask me in class and I can show you where that is, or you can guess and check. And if they've given you nice numbers, it should be easy to guess and check. The cube root of 729, the three numbers that multiply together to get 729, is 9. The cube root of 64, the three numbers that multiply together to equal 64, is 4. So my ratio of the sides, the scale factor, is 9 to 4. The perimeter ratio is the same thing, also 9 to 4. Square those numbers to find the ratio of the areas, so I'll get 81 to 16.